is far away. I do not know
Okay.
what happened.
Let me just turn up.
Okay.
Can you hear me now better?
Yeah, great.
Okay.
Great.
So I know you've spoken about this before, but I didn't retain it. So tell me more about the origin, or what we believe to be the origin of the language.
Right. The origin is the divine origin, yes. By the way, every language has a divine origin in a way.
Yes, thank you.
Because once somebody, usually there are quarrels between nations whose language is older, yeah?
Right.
But it is impossible to have a young language because it evolved from some other language before, so to say. So French in this form, what we know is maybe even English. It is only from 20th century. Even at the beginning of 20th century, it's quite a different language. And if you go into 19th or 18th century, before Shakespeare, you would have totally different language. Yes, you can't recognize it even as English anymore. So to say that English is only 400 years old is as inaccurate as saying that Sanskrit is 6,000 years old. Yes, it's not 6,000 years old. It is from the beginning of time. Yes, it didn't change during 6,000 years much. Yes, that's what we can say, because it was fixed in the grammatical terms, in terms of phonetics and awareness of how it is being changed through Sandhi rules, which usually are so hated by the students of Sanskrit, by those who study grammar, because this is a total fluctuation. So when the words meet in the flow of speech, they change, they influence one another. And then when they are put into different position, they kind of regain their previous form, original form. And this capacity of changing the form and regaining, coming back to its original form, is what Sanskrit is about. So during 6,000 or 8,000 years at least, it didn't change much, because once you are in the flow of speech, changing the phonetics of the word, you come back to it. It's not the case with naturally spoken languages, because nobody goes back to the original form. So what happens with the English or any other, even American English, if you look at it closer, I was giving examples of 20. 20 is 20. So 2 is lost already. And many more such words. You can see that in intervocal position, the consonants disappear. They become eaten up by the vowels. And that is the normal procedure for all languages. So this word bhavati in Sanskrit becomes hoti in Hindustani and hai in Hindi. Now this word hai is bhavati in Sanskrit, 3 syllables, bhavati. In Hindi becomes hai, 1 syllable. It's totally eaten up. Just think about it. And it is within 300 years. What to say about longer periods of time? What happens to those words, how they are pronounced? If you take Maharashtri Prakrit, for example, where the consonants are totally eaten up by the vowels in between. So word agata becomes a, a, a. 3 a's are written. Incredible. Krishna becomes kawa. This is the relaxed way of talking. Kawa, Krishna. And it is written as kawa. Yeah? Kawa. 3 vowels. Just imagine what happens to languages if they are not aware of their original word and how to come back to its original form. They evolve, they develop, they go forward, they invent new words, they create new forms. and so on. And these are called Prakrits. Now, since we are talking about origins of Sanskritam and Prakritam, Prakritam means forward, made forward, natural. Natural language, which is not looking back, which doesn't care what will happen in the future about these words. And Sanskritam means perfectly arranged, perfected.
Question.
Yes,
So, if I understand right, I mean, it's just very intriguing to me that it's the natural positioning of conscious of a person that which is consciousness expressing themselves. If I understand this right, so how does that relate to babies learning how to speak and various cultures? Because it's still like ma and pa, and I'm thinking that it must be a relationship with that consciousness present within that being is all having a similar way of expressing themselves. Have you thought about this?
definitely, of
So
course.
please, just a word or two about it.
Definitely, the children are learning from their mothers. That's why we call them mother tongues. Yes. So whatever mother speaks, the child will take. And if it is a Prakrit, child will take Prakrit and will converse in Prakrit, express himself in Prakrit. It's fine. There is nothing wrong about it. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm saying that the Sanskritam did not, so to say, evolve. It's very relative. It evolved, of course, changed, but did not change its system of roots and did not change its grammar. It restricted its grammar to particular use, yeah? Forgetting about other possible usage, kind of. And also, there is one more thing which is unique to Sanskrit. It is the system of etymons, system of simple root sounds, from which all words are derived. So Sanskrit does not need other languages to explain its own derivations. This is something unique. You can't have any other language in the world which would be independent in its own root system. For example, for us to explain television or I don't know, telephone or whatever, we have to go to to Greek and Latin, and there we will see those words coming together, explaining something as telephone, yeah, speaking over the
Mhm.
our vision, seeing over the gap, distance. So all the words, not all, but many of the words in English language are explained through Latin and Greek.
Right.
But the sounds that the baby makes before it's learned any language, are they using the same five positions?
No, they are
To
actually looking for those positions, and that is called the uh, I do not know how it is called in English. It's a baby speech. When the baby goes through this period when it pronounces all kinds of sounds, like
yes,
it is looking for particular how tongue is felt within, how lips are felt. It looks for mental articulations of sound, so to say, on onto which it can how to say dwell, and mentally articulating them clearly become understood by others. So you can come back to that very articulation again and again as the basic through which you can express yourself in language. Yeah,
it's fascinating.
yeah. And this period is very short, but in that moment, the baby can learn any language, Chinese, Japanese, you name it. Yeah, any, even the languages which are lost already, some kind of alien languages. Yeah. That is the tuning of the apparatus to particular, and also listening to the mother's tongue. Yeah? And the baby already heard the mother tongue in the belly, in the womb, and now it is kind of trying to tune the instrument to those articulations. Yeah, it's a fascinating topic.
Vladimir,
Yes.
can you tell me why in India there are so many languages when there are only maybe one basic language? How did all these different languages and scripts evolve?
Right. India is one of the richest countries in the world, yes, which has 5 different families of languages, families of which Indo-European is only one. And there are 4 others which do not belong to Indo-European languages, of which Sanskrit we consider to be a mother tongue, or the tongue which kept its own kind of formation still in the form of 6,000 years back. And that's why we call it mother tongue. Truly speaking, what is mother tongue in a way? Yeah. So it's a very big question. Yeah? And there is also Dravidian group, of which Tamil is the leader or the central language, with Telugu, with Kannada, with Malayalam. This is the group of Dravidian languages. And the part of this group is left in the north. That's why they thought that when the theory of Aryan invasion was introduced, when the Aryans came from the north, they pressed on these people and they went south. But they went south. They went to the south. They didn't become sour. So, and that's how they shifted Dravidian, because we have the remnants of Dravidian languages in the north. By the way, the same languages, agglutinative type, it's a different type of grammar where prefixation is not allowed. And we know that prefixation is so common for Indo-European languages. And they have this type of root and many, many, many suffixes or affixes and ending. So many suffixes express different relations of the speaker to what he says, to the subject, and so on. And this type of language we can find in Turkish languages, in Uralo-Altai family, Ural and Altai. Ural is this mountains in the middle of Russia, and Altai is this far away mountains in between the Siberian languages. And this family traveled to Europe and settled there as Hungarian languages and Finnish languages. They are of the same type of agglutinative grammar. And also Japanese and Korean. They belong to this group, as it were. And Tamil. And when you come to, I lived in Korea for 6 months, I was surprised. The same Tamil phrases, as if they speak Tamil, like Ideva. Ideva come here in Korean, and Tamil is the same. Appa, Amma. Appa is father, Amma is mother. The same in Tamil, the same in Korean language. So it's a weird kind of another group within the group, as it were, on the same continent. And of course, there are other groups. There are Munda, there is these aboriginal tribes. There is Tibeto-Burman languages, which is totally different, Tibetan language. They have different system of roots. They took Sanskrit language as writing, as Devanagari, and developed their own script on that ground. But they have totally different system of roots. So India is very rich. Yeah. How? I can't tell you how. Shubhendu says that Dravidian languages, Tamil and so on, and Indo-European, that means Sanskrit, and all Indo-Aryan languages, such as Hindi, Gujarati, Marathi, Bengali, Punjabi, these are all Indo-European, Indo-Aryan languages. They are very closely related. There was a stage pre-Vedic, pre-Chaldean, where these languages were one. And he says that even though Tamil language looks very far away, deviated from the Sanskrit roots, it is still very closely connected. And he gives examples like Appa, Amma, Sanskrit Amba, very ancient word, and Amma Tamil, yes, it seems that they are from the same origin. Well, this is kind of an overview. And there are many more things I would say, but I will stop here if you don't mind, unless you have some other clarifying question. No. Many people compare in Indo-European languages to different roots, to different words that they are coming from Sanskrit, in Russian, in Slavic languages, in English, in Latin. There are many common roots. Yes, we have pita, pater, papa, as you said. Yes, mama. Mama is ma root, Sanskrit ma, matri, mater, Russian, or mother, English, which is tri is the suffix of the do, where the root is ma, to measure, to create the form, the creatrix of the form. In the root measure, you have that ma also closely coming. Matri, yeah? The one who creates the form. We don't see it in Indo-European languages, except in Sanskrit we understand the root. And the interesting example is daughter. Why daughter is daughter, nobody knows, but in Sanskrit is duhitri, is the one who is milker, the one who milks the cows. Because in the Aryan family, the daughter was milking the cow. So she was called the milker. And then later you have daugter, duhitri, which becomes daugter is duhitri, basically, the one who milks. But you don't have that meaning anymore. You have only a daughter. Nobody knows why daughter is a daughter. But in Sanskrit, it is visible. Yes. Yes, Bill.
At some point, I would just love to take like Om Namashivaya and look at Namashivaya. Because I've been told that the Namashivaya, the 5 syllables correspond to the 5 elements: earth, water, fire, air, ether. And is that your understanding? Maybe I just look like maybe we just got done with Shivarati. So
yeah,
is there a practical way to fit that in here or not? I don't know.
I think it is more interpretation of some kind of trying to fit anything which is very valuable, such as Om Namah Shivaya, to the system of understanding of the philosophy of 5 elements of Sankhya and so on, which is showing me immediately of a later kind of attempt to systematize everything into the understanding we have or they had. And because it has no any need in fitting them into 5 elements. These are words. Namah means bowing down or surrendering,
Right.
and Shivaya means to Shiva, which is dative case of Shiva. To Shiva I bow to Shiva. Why 5 elements? What need do we have to really justify 5 elements for that bowing to Shiva? So it's another kind of attempt to lay down or to kind of how to say, to systematize the knowledge which is there.
Okay.
And Tantra does it very often, of like every single letter is assigned to a particular petal in the lotuses of chakras.
Right, and seed letters and bija mantras and
Right. And there is certain truth in it. It's not that it has nothing to do with nothing to do, but it is an attempt to systematize something which is already there to something which is to explain everything else. And for example, bija mantras are closer to the truth because you have like starting with lam and then vam and then ram. Yes, it's chakra by chakra,
Right.
and then hum and then jam, hum and om, and finally om is here and this is hum. Yeah. So you can see that from the lowest l, which is touched, to v, which is semi-touched, to r, which is slightly touched, to j, which is less touched, the ha is less touched, and om is hardly touched. So you can feel that the heaviness of the touch of the syllables is reduced when you go up or you go down. It is becoming more heavy. In that sense, yes. But I'm looking at it as from the point of view of the scientific in a way, yeah? More. I have to see the meaning in it.
You know, it's funny, but it reminds me when we were studying Jyotish under someone from southern India, and they taught this system where um, each syllable is either one of the elements, right? And each of them relate to a particular body part. And then depending if you were ill, right? And let's say you had something with the liver, then you would go to that syllable and you would do a mantra around it and it would heal you. So you have to believe somewhere, you know, there's some truth in this. But at the same time, it seems a little hokey. But still, right? People didn't just make all this up. There's got to be some underlying truth to it. But I don't know if you've heard of that
Yeah.
system.
And the same with chakras and the same with bija mantras. The people made the system which has certain value, certain reason behind, and certain truth, yeah, in their own understanding. And by practicing it, believing in it, they make it work. It's the same what people do with anything else. They can make everything work. You start worshiping one tree and it will start becoming the divine for you. Yeah. It's there is a beautiful story of Buddhistic story about the the old lady who wanted to have a tooth of Buddha. It's called tooth of Buddha. Do you know this story? No? And her son was going to travel in the world, and she lived high in the Himalayas with him. And she said, "Okay, you're going to travel. You see, I'm getting old, and I want to have a tooth of Buddha." He said, "Okay, I will bring you from my travel." So he went to travel, and then he came home after some months. And she asked him, "Did you bring me a tooth of wood?" "Oh, I forgot, but I will travel again in a month, and I will bring you for sure." Then he went again for several months. He comes back again, the same story. "Did you bring me?" "Oh, I forgot. I'm getting old. I need a tooth of Buddha." "Okay," he said, "now I'm going for tooth of Buddha." So he went the third time to travel, and he comes home and he remembers before entering that he didn't bring a tooth of Buddha to his mother. He looks around, he sees the skeleton of the dead dog. He pulls out of the dog a tooth, puts it into the very beautiful cloth, yeah, covers it, and comes in. The mother says, "Did you bring me?" "Yes, I brought you the tooth of Buddha," he said. He gave her this tooth, and she put it into the corner and started to worship it, and it started to shine, and many miracles came from that tooth. This is the tooth of Buddha. That's what people do. They make everything shine with their consciousness. So it doesn't matter what they call, how they really. Maybe five elements can be seen in Om Namo Shivaya. If somebody sees them there, then they are there definitely. I think five elements are everywhere, in everything. Not to put down any kind of a temp of love and consciousness. Okay, shall we continue with our exploration of the Sanskrit first? Yes. So today, last time I covered the system of nouns, yes, of karakas and vibhaktis. Do you remember anything of it? Was it useful for you to know how the words are built, how the relations are made, and how these mental categories are limited in a way that we can operate within our consciousness and within this reality, within kind of limited set of tools. We can have a subject, we can have an object, we can have relation of subject to objects in a specific manner. We can do it for something, we can do it because of something, we can do it in relation with something and in location, somewhere in time and space. That's it. We can't do anything else. This is the limited set of tools. Once we know it, we can create systems, perfect systems. I was even once presenting this view for creating the consultancy in business. Would you believe this? If you cover these 7 relations within your company, you will build a perfect company. But you have to answer to all these 7 relations. That is what is the objective, how it is done, what for it is done, what is the reason you're doing it, or the cause, what caused this to do, what are the relations, and what is the location in time and space. So answer all those questions and you will have a perfect system. Since it is only an introduction, I want to cover it from the philosophical point of view, from the philosophy of language point of view. Now, today we will take the verb. And we spoke about it. I said that the verb was treated, seen as akhyata first, as the predicate or the secondary name, yes, which is explaining the major name, or as kriya, as the action. And we were kind of debating this. What was first, the noun or the verb? The action of consciousness or the being which acts? And there are different views on it. Now we are dealing with kriya, with the verb, logos. And in Sanskrit system, we have 3 different numbers, singular, dual, and plural, and we have 3 different persons, first person, second person, and third person. In Sanskrit grammar, it is just upside down. The first person is the last one. The third person is the first one. So the first person, prathama purusha, which means first person, is the third person in English. He, she, it. Yeah? So he, she, it can be in the singular, dual, or plural. Ekavachanam pointing to one, dvivachanam pointing to two, and bahuvachanam pointing to many. Madhyama Purusha is the second person, which means middle Purusha, the second one, because it is constantly this you with whom I am talking. This is the middle one, middle man. And Uttama Purusha, the highest one, the supreme Purusha, is the first person, I. So it's also interesting. There are 2 different modalities, 3 actually, but we look into 2 today. Parasmaipadam, active voice, and Atmanepadam, middle voice. Middle voice in English, I speak to myself, is the middle voice. I speak to you is the active voice. The same in Sanskrit. You can act upon yourself or you can act upon somebody else. Yeah. So we have the major division of the verbs into two different categories. One is called Sarvadhatuka, all the verbs. There are more than 2,100 verbs in Sanskrit, which is enormous amount. If you look into Latin, you will find 150 roots. It's like 20 times more. It's a very rich language. Somebody was describing what they are doing in cataloging the words in Sanskrit from Sanskrit manuscripts. We had a meeting with one Russian academician, and he said that he saw the cards that they create for each word, and it is covering the huge house only with cards. Yes. So when they will be, they wanted to edit and to publish the most complete Sanskrit dictionary, and I bought first 5 volumes, which are huge, 1,000 pages each, with very small script, like script maybe like 8, yeah, in the printing. So not even 10, but 8. Very small script, huge volumes, and it is covered only an, from short a, first letter. 5 volumes on historical principles. So you cannot imagine how many words you can create in Sanskrit, but it doesn't mean that they are not understood, because Sanskrit has this transparent etymology approach through roots, where you could understand the meaning of the sound and can figure out what the word means, actually, because all these are nothing but contextual applications. This we have to understand. All the words are contextual applications of some central meanings. And I was giving you the example, root yuj, which means to yoke, to connect two in one, to hold two in one, is produced from simple root yu, which means to unite or to divide. Two meanings, unite and divide, within the root. So how come? That means that this two in one can be seen as uniting two or dividing one. It depends how you apply this device. And in this case, yoga is the product of this root, yuj, to yoke, is to keep two in one in connection. And so there are 150 meanings in the dictionary, and I'm sure that this is the open list. You can have huge as yoking, uniting, using, producing, and so on and so forth. And if you apply this device to, for example, mathematics, it will be summing up, adding. Or if you apply this huge to yoga, it will be uniting your soul with the spirit, or uniting your being, composing yourself, and so on and so forth. Wherever you apply this device, yoga, to any science, it will mean something different. And that's what I mean, contextual application creates a new meaning. So the same as we have television or telephone, it's an application, it's an applied meaning, which creates a new meaning. But the root is still understood and seen. So Sarvadhatuka, it is all the roots, all 2,100 roots are used in 4 different 2 tenses and 2 modalities. That is present tense, active and middle voice, past tense, or as Panini calls it, not present tense. It's kind of an important thing to understand, not present. Then imperative. Imperative is a must. Without imperative, there is no verb. You have to command, sit, go, look, say. And optative. Would you like to say? Could you say? Should you say? And so on. Options. All the options, all the modalities are in the optative. So these 4 modalities are building the whole language, basically. So present tense is the most popular in Sanskrit. And present tense covers not only present time, but also past time and also future. The same as in English. Yeah, we are going to the cinema tomorrow. So it's a future tense, though I am using present tense. Yeah, or I will tell you like this: I am going to the town and I meet this guy, and he is not telling me anything. He doesn't know anything. And when I'm telling you all this, you know that it is in the past. How do you know that it is in the past when I am using present tense? It's a good question, actually. So it's historical past. I'm describing what has happened, and you know that it is in the past because it is not happening right now when I'm speaking about it in the present tense. So where does it belong then? It belongs only to the past. It's just a normal thing. It's just so that's what Panini calls not present. Yeah. So it is non-actual present. And it's quite interesting that bhavati, this E at the end, is actualizing bhavat. Bhavat is being, bhavati being now, and abhavat, it is the being bhavat, which is not actual now because I is standing in front, showing that that was actual to some other time. It makes it non-actual to this present moment. So it was actual to some other time, then it falls into the past. But notice that there is no future tense in the Sarvadhatukas. Sanskrit, Vedic Sanskrit doesn't have future tense. Why? Why do you think we don't have future tense? We have all kind of modalities. I should, would, shall, will, but no future tense. By the way, in English, we also don't have future tense. It's I will go means I will to go. I have a will to go. You cannot be sure for 100% that you will go tomorrow. You just want to go. You intend to go. You wish to go.
So does the optative, the potential?
Absolutely. That is the modality. Yes, that is the future tense. Yeah. But no future tense. Later, future tense was introduced like bhavishyati, karishyati, and so on. And it has still that flavor of modality, wanted to be done, wanted to be gone. So in the Veda, we don't have it at all. It's never used as a future tense. Why? Because there is no future. Everything which is said towards the future is a modality or intention of our own to do something. There is only present and non-present, non-actual present. And there are modalities, of course, imperative, the command and the wish to do things. Makes sense, no? Or you want to have future tense, yeah? How come without the future? No, future is there in your intention.
So then what is the not present tense? Can you give me an example of that?
Yeah, it's he was going. He is not going anymore. He was going. It's not present. It's a past tense, basically. All right, that's basically it. The whole introduction to Sarvadhatukas. There are many more forms which make Sanskrit difficult, and these are Ardhadhatukas. These forms are not used with all the verbs, with selected number of verbs. We have aorist, which is past tense perfect, which is more like present tense, future, two future forms, conditional mood, which is present in the past or the future in the past, benedictive, which is more like imperative or optative, conjunctive, which is more like an optative, another form. We have also injunctive, which is very interesting form, closer to the Dravidian languages. But I'm not going into all of them because they are not important for us now. For us now is what is important is to see these four: present, past, imperative, and modalities, optative as a future tense. Okay, that is it for the verb. If you have some questions, please go ahead.
I guess my only question, Vladimir, would be this 2,500 verbs. Right,
2,100.
2,100. I mean, is this a way of how? I mean, obviously they're refining and distinguishing different actions, but what is there a philosophical basis for that?
I will tell you, you know what Sri Aurobindo did in his, it's a good question, very good. Sri Aurobindo did in his Origins of Aryan Speech. If you look there, he gave us all possible combinations of sounds. And he says, look at this, yeah, you connect this vowel with this consonant and this vowel with another consonant, with another consonant, so on. All possible combinations. Now look into the language and see which of these survived and are used as roots. So you will see that from the all possible combinations, you will have a very narrow selection which survived. And then what struck me is that those possible combinations, they are still there as potential roots, as potential possibilities which can pop up anytime language needs them to come back, as it were, from the reservoir of all possible articulations. Yeah? And that makes sense. We are
So
using
how many of those 2,100 are commonly used?
Well, somebody calculated how many words are used by English farmer, and it is 600 words. That is all his vocabulary. Yeah? He doesn't need more. We don't need many words to communicate and to function in the world. But of course, the more you have the capacity to see. And there is another question, there is another answer to your question, that all these derivations are actually an increase or enlargement or extension, let us say, from simple roots. If I take root E is a simple root, and I can have the whole list of roots starting with E, ij, it, ik, ig, and so on, ing. So there will be a list of roots starting with E. These extensions are modifying the application of E vowel, power of E, in a particular way, giving it another flavor, as it were. And then that root can be applied to different contexts, creating many more meanings. Yeah? We are not speaking about contextual meanings here, only about root meanings. So enlarging or extending one vowel, or if you start with, for example, one vowel like chi, yeah? And then you can extend chit, chid, ching, and so on. Chi can be extended with different consonants. These are the roots. From there, the derivations of words can come into existence, and from those words applied to different contexts, different meanings. So if we know the first original roots or those simple sounds like I, U, Ri, Li, yeah? And then we know them with their extensions, simple extensions, and simple not extended roots, these monosyllabic roots like chi, ji, shi, without extension. If you understand those roots, and then you add extensions like root u, which I was giving, u to unite and divide, and then you have uj is to yoke. You add j to u, and you have already yoking, yeah, holding two in one, and that creates yoga, yoga as composing, uniting, and then adding, and then so on and so forth. And then you add another extension, yud, and yud already would have meaning of fighting. Why fighting? Because when two in one are held within the field, which is these two opposites which are not coming together, and they are held within that field, they create a tension, or what do you call it? The field of resistance, yeah, that electrical field or electromagnetic field, and that is fighting actually. Or yup, you add p, and that is yupa, the stamba, the pillar to which the sacrificial animal was tied. So tying up to something which animal cannot go from the yupa. So again, you holding two in one. But contextual meanings develop, and the extensions develop, give us more possibilities to contextualize the meanings. So once you have that sense of E and U, and interesting, U itself is a combined word, though it gave so many roots from which so many words are produced. U is E plus U. E is holding one, yeah, focusing and concentrating on oneness. U, duality, two, yeah, dual, U, two lips. That's what we immediately perceive when we say it. It is immediately popping up in our psychology. So if I say you, it's you, and that is one in two or two in one already. Now, this is the embryology of the etymology, which gives us a sense how the roots are evolving, how the words are built, derived from those roots and applied to different contexts, creating new words. So there is some kind of sense of everything. Everything falls into its right place. If I say yoga, I have that sense of E and U and U and huge, and everything is there within the system. And all other roots which use E and U and U and dual, and everything is immediately present within the power of that word, yoga. It's not just word. It's all meanings falling into their right place, supporting this significance. And that's the richness and the power of Sanskrit. That's transparent etymology. Great, thank you. I think we can stop here today on time and have 10 minutes break between the this and class on our meeting on the Gita. In the Gita meeting, we will have presentation by Marta on the 2 chapters from Essays on the Gita, and then we will look into the text and see how it is being found there in the text, those concepts. Okay, let us make a break and reassemble 6 o'clock. I'm not leaving, I'm just stopping recording.